It's time to live and be yourself tonight. You gotta feel it. You just have one life. It's time to live and dance into the light. Your life is beautiful. 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 Life is beautiful.
Good night. The Monica Brant Show is here, and I'm your host, Monica Brant, and I'm super excited. This is always fun for me to get to visit with the legendary athletes and people that I bring into my show, and it has been going on for over a year. I just can't believe it. It seems like I just started, and we've been going for over a year now, so I've had such a good time. I know in 2020, I started this show just wanting to connect with my friends, connect with the people that I've been out of touch with for so long because of my career kind of changing and COVID happening. And I was just like, I've got to reach out to my friends. So I thought, well, why not start a show and bring people in and get to visit with them? Because in the past, we'd go to the Olympias and all the shows, and it was always so busy for everybody. It was really hard to just find time to connect with people too. So I'm super excited about the show, and I hope you guys have gone and tuned in to all my previous guests. I'm not sure where the number sits, but it's somewhere around 45 or 47 or something like that. And so anyways, on to tonight's special guest. So this awesome guy, very decorated in many ways. He was served our country as a Marine, worked as a high threat protection specialist for the U.S. government, employed by Dell as an executive protection specialist for the CEO and his family. He's an entrepreneur with multiple businesses. He's the Disciplines of Iron, Invader Coffee, and Rogue American Apparel. He's been awarded Veteran Business of the Year. You can tune in to listen to him on his own podcast called Going Rogue with Wes Whitlock. He is a father, and he trains like a wild man. I know firsthand. So please welcome to the show, Wes. How are you tonight? Come on.
Wow. I'm super excited. This is so cool. This is, first of all, thank you for having me. I've been a huge, long-time fan of you. It's really cool that we've been able to connect a few times throughout the years. And I love what you're doing with your shows and all the other cool stuff that you're doing. So thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here. Hope we can bring some value to your listeners. And this is going to be really cool. So thank you again for having me.
Well, I'm so thankful to have you on. Now, we've talked a few times about getting you on the show, and just seemed like schedules kept happening and things kept happening, but that's kind of par for the course nowadays. But here we are, and I'm just so excited. And I noticed that you were all sweaty and different shirt, and now you look like you've already showered within 5 minutes. You look fresh as a daisy, and you've got your own shirt on there.
Yeah, it's a Marine Corps way. It's called like they call them Navy showers. So you got like 10 minutes to take a quick shower from muddy and sweaty nasty to looking nice and clean and mean. So yeah,
that's right. Right.
No, just had a workout today. Yeah, as you know, we're in Texas. We had a lot of rain this past few weeks, and then today the sun came out. The mosquitoes came out because, as you know, my gym is an outside gym of nastiness. It's dirty and it's rusty, and there's a lot of metal and weights and just goodness all around. So went out there and beat it up a little bit and had a great time. So yeah, I'm sweating a little bit,
it's all good. It's all good. Right? It's all good. It's all good. I know. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you need a little fan to.
I know. I think I could pull one of those off, right? I think I could pull off.
Yeah, you're manly enough. You could. Did you throw any stones behind you today?
I did. No, I did the other day, which is funny because last time you were here, Monica was here, and we threw some stones. We lifted some cars. We threw some tires around. She pushed a 40,000-pound transformer truck.
We did. I didn't do it by myself.
She was driving around the neighborhood in this thing, so it was pretty cool. It was kind of like, I was like, and then even music was coming out. I think it was rap or something cool out of the 80s was blasting out of there because he's got speakers underneath, and there goes Monica cruising down the road. I'm like, dude, that's the best movie ever right there.
I had asked, it's John, right? John?
Yeah. John. Yeah, Big John. Yeah, that's John's truck.
Yeah, because I remember after we did the workout and everything, I was like, hey, can I go for a ride with you? Because I just was thinking it'd be fun to go for a ride. And then my friends live 5 minutes from your place there, my girlfriend and her kids. And I'm like, oh, and they love big trucks. And so he's like, well, why don't you drive? And I was like, well, okay. And I didn't think about it, but those roads are so windy and small back there. So we got down, and I'm so thankful because I actually missed the main road that leads to her home. And that road is so small and skinny and narrow. And it's like kind of a drop off on the side because she's right there by the lake. And I was so thankful I missed that because we went up a little further. And I'm like, oh, the road's back there. And I was like, I had to turn around. And I said, why don't you turn around and go? And then when we started, he got in and drove. And as we started going down her main road, I was like, I'm so thankful I'm not driving, because I would have probably started getting a little panicky sitting up in that truck.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you handled that thing when you got in it. My parking lot's small, and you're doing a spin around there, and then you rolled down the road. And first of all, you're from Texas. You're a Texas girl. You grew up around horses. Your dad has a cool hot rod, and so you would have handled it just fine.
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence. I appreciate it very much.
That was a lot of fun. I had a blast that day. Yeah, we had
it was. I need to come back. I'll have to come back because
we'll have to do it again. Yep.
Yeah, that stone is gonna set with me until maybe I can get it someday. But
right there. Yeah. We went.
But it was 90 pounds. So how
you got that little baby stone pretty well.
The little baby, the pea stone.
No, you didn't know. You threw that Chevelle around like it was a pancake or something. I was like,
I don't know.
You're awesome, man. You brought a lot of bring a good energy to where you go, and it's neat to be around people like that. So it's really cool having you around and bringing your sunshine and getting this there. We had a fun time. Yeah, it was great. So again, thanks for having me. We've been talking for a while about trying to. And I've had Monica on mine. We did just a short one after the workout. So.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to make that one happen, like the real one.
Does that mean?
Can you hear my husband? He's, of course, right now I'm off live. He's out front weed whacking and mowing, and I'm like.
You might hear my dog. He's snoring over here. So if you hear snoring.
Okay. I've got a wiener dog over here that keeps tapping my feet wanting her dinner. So Brad will have to come in and feed her eventually here. But
this is called real life. This is called real life. And that's what's cool.
Real and raw. That's right, Wes. That's right.
And I love all your magazines back there because I'm having some pretty cool flashbacks. I remember seeing all those. And I remember I was in Rome for a while, and I'd see them at the magazine stands, and all the guys always had your pictures on their wall. So it was really cool. I remember all those, So, this is freaking cool. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you. I didn't even notice this. Look to see if some of them get crooked once in a while because I end up touching them, by when I get up and down. But I've had all my covers in boxes for years. And last year, this cover came out for Bodyscape 2020. And my massage therapist was here and she saw it. She's like, why don't you have that framed on your wall? And I have too many on my wall. She goes, well, if I were you, I'd have them all over the house. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. And then it just kind of dawned on me. I had this wall and I changed my desk around and I thought.
Perfect. It really sets a cool tone. Yeah.
It's fun. And then, I get to see it. And when you walk in my house, you can't see it unless you come in my office and look this way. So it's like, it's not just like, oh, shrine for Monica. And it's,
you're saying it's not all over in your bedroom and your bathroom and your living room.
No way. No.
I would do that. Just kidding. No, this is cool. Yeah. Really. Yeah. I remember all those. Yeah. It's
fun to, I don't think we're supposed to dwell in our past, but, and just sit and think about all that. But it's kind of fun to look at those things and then just remember, kind of where you were in life at those moments. And, maybe the photo shoot, who took it and what was the day like. And I think it's good for the memory to have those kind of triggers. And I think it's good for the brain to have that kind of action. So I think there's positives and, it's not, I don't sit and dwell on it, but it is fun to kind of reminisce about for sure. And my husband had fun putting it up and I don't know, can you see the, let's see the trophies, my Olympia stuff.
Dang. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm talking to a world champion.
Wow.
It's really cool. I love seeing that stuff. And I agree. There's a lot of people who will say, don't never rest on your laurels. And your past. And I work with a lot of folks as well that did amazing things in the past, and then either they're like living in that or they have moved on, whatever. But I think it's important to remember those things. It does spark something. It does remind you that, you know, that you have done some things, and it could trigger, like I said, trigger something. So I think it's great to go back once in a while and say, yeah, man, because that was, you know, that's part of who I am and what made me who I am now. So yeah, I think it's really neat. Yeah, I love it.
Well, speaking of the past, I know there's quite a bit that you've walked through, and your journey has been pretty large. And so before we get to that, though, I kind of want to just talk about what's 2020, 2021, because now it's kind of like one big year. It doesn't feel like two different years. But what?
Yeah, I'm like,
what has it been like for you? Like, what challenges and what accomplishments have you been able to achieve in this crazy time of our life right now?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. You know, we've had ups and downs for sure, like when the whole thing hit of COVID, because, you know, our business is mainly e-commerce online. We ship all over the world, our products. We have some wholesale accounts and stuff like that. And then we have stores. I had a store in North Carolina, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I have a store here. So a lot of things did change. We had to close our store in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That was a big thing I didn't expect or see coming. So we had to change that. We had to close that. We closed our store here in Austin for a little bit. And then we kind of just focused on our online presence. We were worried about that because I was like, well, now people are worried about if they're going to have a job, if, you know, their incomes are going to come down, they're going to lose their jobs. Now they're going to buy anything, which I understand. But it was actually kind of the opposite. A lot of people they're home and they're like kind of on coronacation, I call it. They're at TV and on the internet buying stuff and better than their situations too. So I think it's actually been almost a good thing. I think it's shifted people's mindsets to where nothing is ever constant. There's things are always changing. They can change like that. So if you're comfortable in your life and with things, and then something happens. So a lot of people, I think, it woke them up and they said, wow, no, I need to adjust to change some things in my life, my lifestyle. So I think in a way there's a lot of good things that happen with it. And for us, it forced us to change some things, change some stuff with our website, change some stuff with our back ends, change some product around and stuff. So we shifted and adjusted. And that's also, as you know, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you have to be able to adjust and shift and move as things are coming and changing all the time. So I think it comes with the territory. But for us, yeah, it was it forced us to really kind of focus on some things that maybe we put on the back burner a little bit that we didn't. It was so important. We said, oh, wow, no, we really this is the time to clean this part up, you know, and really focus on some key things and dial things in a little bit tighter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, considering everything, overall positive. And I think it seems like everyone that I brought on my show has had that experience. And maybe it's just because that's the type of people that I bring on the show. It's like a lot of really, you know, entrepreneur mindsets and people that are great athletes or have accomplished some big things. And that's just how they kind of handle all things about life in general. So, you know, this is just another, not necessarily a roadblock, but it's just a hump that we got to, you know, figure out how to get over. And
the obstacle is the way, you know, it goes back to Marcus Aurelius, you know, it's the fundamentals of man, of Jesus, of everything that this is about. There will be obstacles, and you can either fall down and say, oh no, I'm going to fall down and get in the fetal position and wow, poor me, and cry about it. Or you're going to go attack that wall, get over it, find a way around it, and then get to the other side. And then with that, that's where you find your strengths. That's where you find growth. You know, so I'm the same way. I like to be around people that see something that could be seen as a negative thing and find a way through it, around it, above it. You know, there's always another way up the mountain. It's not just one path. You know, so when it comes to these type of things, and like you said, with athletes, it's life. You should treat yourself as an athlete every day, in the sense that every day you have to train yourself. You have to train your mind. You have to train you have to eat a certain way. You have to think a certain way. It's not easy. Training's not easy, but you have to train yourself every day through prayer, meditation, whatever it is going to make you get out of a state of fog, because that's always creeping there. That's always trying to creep into you. Me and folks and stuff I've known, and you have to train yourself to keep that stuff out, you know, and go back towards the light. So that's just part of life, and it's easy, and I think it's evil. It's evil parts of life that's where that seeps into folks and ruins them. you know, so you have to find that strength. And then that comes with being around the right people, reading the right things, and, you know, just putting, you know, the right parts around your body and around your mind. And that's not ever easy. So that's why we need community. That's why these things are great. That's why, you know, connecting with like-minded folks. And not to get into too much of a tangent about that, but I always try to find something positive in the negative. I was trying to, okay, if that's, even in business, okay, that's, okay. Like, so for instance, you know, when this whole thing happened, the COVID thing and the whole mask thing, which I'm not big on the mask thing, trust me, but I'm an apparel company. There was a demand. There was construction companies. These guys they could not go back to work unless they had a silly mask on, you know, and all these other things. So I was like, you know what, we have the ability to do these, you know, so we shifted and did a ton of masks, and we did them for UT, we did them for the military, you know, so we just, instead of saying, oh no, this sucks, oh no, nobody's going to buy our shorts right now because they're worried about their jobs and they need to buy masks, I'm going to take my short manufacturer and make the best freaking masks that I can make. And, you know, and it turned out to be a win for us, but we had to make that adjustment and shift. And again, finding like, oh no, this sucks. So what are we going to do? Oh no, let's turn that into a positive thing. And that's what we did there. So you can do that with anything.
You're serving your customers and being conscious of what they need. And that's what good business people have to do, right? I mean, it can't just be what you want all the time.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things in business and stuff that I'm like, I don't know. You know, I try to live my life and my business the way what I'm into. Like my products, I stand by my products. Before I even put a new pair of shorts out there, whatever, I beat them up. I beat them up. My coffee, we have a whole process to where it's like, we first send a guy to inspect the farm to make sure that the farm's legit. We should inspect it for mold, bug bites, you know, all kinds of things. Is the farm being run correctly and in a humane manner? Once we decide that, then we bring a bag back with us from Indonesia, Africa, South of Central America. We bring it back here to Austin. We sit in a room. We turn all the lights off. We have 10. We roast it. We have 10 people sit there, sip it, write little notes. How do they feel about it? How does it taste? What are they thinking when these things are happening? So there's a whole process of quality that goes in before we actually put a product out there. And it's the same with clothing. It's the same with holsters we've done, knives we've done, you know, so it's harder. Yeah, that's a lot harder to do, especially when I'm a small business. I don't have investors. I don't have partners. I've turned all that down because now I got into business because I wanted to be my own person, my own boss, which as you know, you're your boss of your customers and your support. They're now your bosses, you know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, it's on you, you know, once you bring in all those type of folks, now they're going to tell you what to do. And I had actually talked to two, and they were getting ready to sign. And at the very end, they said, we will have full operational control. And that's when I was like, well, I have a problem with that. And they said, no, basically you can just go do podcasts, go have fun and all that, which is great. But no, dude, I'm part of my business. I'm part of the day-to-day operations too, you know? So we shut that down because it's just, now I'm going to be working for you guys. I don't care how much money you want to bring to the table. Now I'm working for you, and that's not what I got into this for. So, you know, that's just a personal choice. But then I'm also allowed to keep my quality where I wanted. And that was one of the deals with them. They wanted to change the way we roasted our profiles, which is air roasting, which kills acidic levels, which is why people love it. It's 1% of the coffee in the world's air roasted. It's very hard to do. And it's expensive. So they wanted to X that out to save money. And I said, well, no, now you're messing with our quality. Our customers are going to know. And they said, oh no, they won't know. We'll match it and this, that, and the other. And I just, you know, I'm not good with that. So, you know, sometimes you turn down things. It's an easy, quick buck overnight, or you say, you know, I'm looking at 5 years. I'm looking at 10 years when I can be in every Costco, when I can be in every HEB and whatever. Or, you know what, maybe just be in a couple mom and pop shops. I don't know, you know. So as long as you're staying true to your product and your customers and stuff like that. A lot of people get jaded and shaded, and they see that dollar and they start chasing the wrong thing. So that's easy to do, real easy to do. And it's hard to back away from a lot of these temptations. That's also life, and that's training. These come your way, you know, which I'm sure we've all seen. But yeah, it keeps you on your toes for sure, and you got to be on your toes. Otherwise, it's competitive. Business is very competitive, especially now. You know, the internet and all these applications. I run 2 different websites. They have both have different backends. They both have different applications. It's constantly changing. Marketing is an ever-changing dynamic field where it was Facebook, then it was IG, and then it was the Pinterest, and now TikTok, and they're always changing. And if you're not up with that, it's going to be hard for you to compete. You know? So that's the hard part, is finding the folks to run all those parts, because you can't do it all.
No, right.
You
So
know
are you on TikTok?
I am not. That's the one I can't. I'm going to find somebody. I'm going to maybe have my daughter Nancy do that, because I'm like, I don't know anything about it. I don't even like to say the word. It's very odd to me to say that as a grown man. TikTok. Let me have.
What about Twitter?
Twitter, yeah, we're on Twitter. Yeah, we do Twitter. I have somebody on my Twitter account.
But that one doesn't seem odd to you?
No, TikTok's like, it's cool. It is neat. I've seen the videos. My daughter, they're hilarious. Some really cool. It's a great, important, strong marketing tool. It's just that I can't be the one to do it. I have to have. Find somebody to run that, because it is neat. It's neat, and it's But I was just saying that those are the ever-changing dynamics of. Yeah. First it was Facebook, and then Facebook's completely changed. When we started 10 years ago, you know, we have 1 million followers on Facebook, all organic. We built over the years, and back in the day, if you put something up, all those people that were there were going to see it. Now that Facebook decides how many people see it, unless you pay, and this, that, and the other. So that whole dynamic's changed. IG's okay. It hasn't got there. I think that will happen with IG too. I think eventually you could have however many followers, and then you put something up, you're gonna have to pay a boost, sponsored ad for more folks to see it. And that's business for them too, you know, so I get it, and that's their business. And that's why I think people kind of forget sometimes, like, oh, they banned me, or they did this and they did that. And that's their business, you know. I mean, I don't know. Do I agree with it? No, not personally, but it's to bitch and gripe about stuff that another business is doing, and you're utilizing their platform. You know, you're going to have to think about, that's their platform. You decided to go there. You're using it. Yeah. And if you don't agree with the way they run their business, then bounce. Don't use it. You know, and I've had discussions with that, and people are like, oh, what's this, that, and the other. But that's your choice to use it. I don't know. And it's still free country. I don't know. I won't get into all that, because, but it's ever-changing dynamics of marketing, for sure. And then this stuff's cool too, like just doing the real one-on-one stuff, because it's more, I like the organic stuff. I like the real stuff. I like the dialogue that happens kind of organically and more real. And then you get to actually really meet or get to know that person more. Like, you know, I've your stuff with like Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler and stuff that, you know, like you have a vision of these people, and you know them because that's your world. You know, my world is different. It's different type of folks, but now when you see them on these things, you get to see them as a person and a real thing, you know?
Yeah, right.
So it's really cool that the folks are doing this. And anyway, real cool stuff. Yes. You just got to be able to shift and move and adjust every day. Otherwise, you're gonna die.
Speaking of Facebook, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, my Facebook account got hacked again. So my big one, the Monica Brant page. So
I'm sure you have a lot of those fake accounts where they take somebody and they take your picture and they make you fake accounts. And I'm sure there's a million.
Well, I haven't really focused on that. My big account's gone right now, and thankfully Claudia's been working on it. And you know, Facebook just takes their own sweet time to. And meanwhile, this person is using my account and posting stupid stuff over in some foreign country. I'm like, oh well. But I know that Claudia, my show manager and social media manager's done everything she can to pull it back and rescue it. It's just going to take time, but in the meantime,
that comes with the deal too. A lot of people that want to get into this stuff, it's like there's a lot of moving parts, and then things like that happen.
Takes a lot of extra time.
Days where the website could shut down. We had a day where Shopify shut down all fucking websites. Excuse my language. Shut down all websites for like 20 minutes. And like on a busy day, that affects a lot of business, you know, and that's how these things are going to happen. Right. Like today, here's a perfect example. We send out a MailChimp, which is email marketing, MailChimp.io, your email marketing stuff. And we push on our 5-pounders. We have a 5-pound bag. Which saves the customer shipping and saving a little bit of money. They get a bigger bag of coffee, whatever. So we launched the ad. We did a test, you know, made sure the graphics were, we tested it, make sure everything was right, that links were connected. And then boom, launch. All right, cool. It's doing pretty well. Yeah, cool. And then we start getting the messages. Hey, I'm ordering it, but I'm not getting free shipping. It's not automatically popping up. And that was our failure to go in and triple check to make sure that was set, that code was set correctly. So those type of things are going to happen, and then you have to own it and adjust. We just immediately went in and started refunding anybody who had ordered that their shipping. Yeah. These things are going to happen along the way.
Right.
As long as you do the right thing at the end, the customer will be like, cool, yeah, you know what? I've still bought it. I paid the shipping. And then the company went ahead and reimbursed me, so doing the right thing, your customers are going to be like, they're going to know you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. And as long as you, my experience with customers are, if you make a mistake or your business makes a mistake, which they will, I don't care who you are, what you tell, I don't care if you're Amazon, things are going to happen with fulfillment and customer service and whatnot. As long as you own it and fix it right away, 99.5% of the time people are like, no problem. Yep, I totally understand. Good to go. If you don't answer them, or you take your sweet time, or you just tell them to F off, which I've seen companies do to customers, people get upset, and then they leave the bad reviews and this, that, and the other. So it's customer service is a huge thing, man, and dealing with people, so you have to be willing to. I mean, you make mistakes and just own it. And people are really cool. I think just like in life, you make a mistake with somebody and you apologize sincerely. Hey, you know what? I made a mistake and this, that, and the other. Usually that person's, in my experience, unless it's something very horrible, they're usually, okay, some forgiveness. Life is really about forgiving. So you can utilize that in business, and most people are fine. And that comes down to being honest too, being honest about your customers and products and what you're doing. And then those are the businesses that stick around for a long time. Those are the people that stick around for a long time.
Right.
I'm sure it's the same in your industry or any of these industries. The ones that take shortcuts and make that quick, easy thing right away, they're usually not around in 5 or 10 years, or they're somewhere else. I don't know. So I thought, that's what I tell my children. That's what I preach to my kids and those in my circle. And I'm around people like that as well. So I think it's an important value for people to remember, especially nowadays where everything is so quick and changing. And there's so much coming at you at every angle. You have to sometimes step back and say, I'm good with this stuff that's going on here. Because otherwise, and I don't know if you're the same way, but as an entrepreneur or somebody that's into a lot of different things, it's easy for me to get pulled into other, because I'm like, ooh, that sounds really neat. But I'm doing well right here. Why would I take my time out of this and then go down this maybe? So I have to really pull myself in, or have to be around people that tell me, like, listen, no, you need back to this, just stick with this, all right? And then, so I need that too, because I will easily be like, that sounds like a really neat opportunity or whatever. And I'm like, I like to try different things. So yeah, that comes down to training and discipline and pulling yourself back in the right direction, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of like kind of the current issues that's been going around, what do you think? And I'm asking some of this stuff because of your background and being in the military and being, working for the government and what you've done. What do you think are the top 3 current issues that are most concerning for our country right now?
My opinion on that subject is, there's top 3.
There's a lot, but what do you think of it?
Well, for me, the first things that come to my head are Israel, China, and social engineering of what's happening in this country as far as, I saw a video 2 days ago. Actually, we did a photo shoot. My photographer was showing me a video that he had found. It was actually on an Army recruiting video, and it was a cartoon, but it was very not Army. I won't get too much into it, but it was very demasculation of us, society of men, so I see a lot of that happening. Toxic masculinity, all the stuff they talk about. And the first thing you do if you study history, or if you study any civilization that's been controlled and taken over and destroyed, they take away the masculinity side of things. They take weapons away, they take guns away, they cut your arms off, they do certain things for you not to be able to be what you are as a man, and then make you feel like it's okay for you to be something else, which, whatever, to me that's a mental problem, and they're forcing a mental issue onto our children in our schools, in our churches. So to me, it's like this whole social engineering project is happening right in front of our faces. And I think it's dangerous because when I bring up China, I think China's onto something. I think they're preparing for something. And, once you've weakened down a society so much, that's when you go in and strike. You can do it through technology. You can do it physically. So if you got to kind of look at the big picture of what's happening in the world and what's happening in Israel right now with Hamas and what's just been happening for a long time, but you also see a lot of lack of support to Israel. I've been in Israel. I've worked in Jerusalem. I've spent time there. I see both sides, and I want humanity to prosper, for everybody to be peace and all that stuff. But you also have to look at the realities too, where people have to protect their own civilization and societies. So I think it all kind of ties in together. I think we stop supporting our strong allies and kind of leave them, and then we take our own society and weaken it, water it down, and then we let these growing nations like China. It's the fastest growing nation in the entire world, and the greatest military is starting to happen out of there in Russia, and they're working together. And then they love to sit back and see what's happening in America right now. I guarantee it. They love to see the stir up of the hate crimes and the police against the blacks and this, that, and the other. A lot of that was stirred up in cubicles in Russia and China. There was social engineering stuff on the Facebook and getting people upset. And then that's the other thing you do when you divide a nation and conquer. You divide the people, divide them, make them angry. If you ever look at if you ever take I think a red ant and a black ant, a group of them, and you put them together, and they're fine, right? You put them in a bottle of dirt. And then you pick up that dirt and you shake it like this. Those ants start going crazy, start killing each other. It's kind of the same thing. You start shaking up our dynamic in the world and with each other, and people start not liking each other, and then from bad things start happening. So it's all being orchestrated by somebody else. So yeah, those to me, the social engineering of what's happening here, China, Israel, and Russia, the things are happening throughout the world. I think that's where people need to kind of get educated on what's truly happening out there. Not reading the mainstream media will feed you what it wants you to know. You have to kind of dig around a little bit. And see what's
some underground alternative things. So that actually leads me to my next question was, because I know there's a lot of stuff that I like to listen to and a lot of people I follow from a Christian perspective and prophecy and Christian perspective. And there's a handful of just kind of regular channels I like to listen to, and so prophetic things. So what are the news sources that isn't mainstream, but are there any channels that you can lead people to that you like to follow? One of them, for instance, I like is a guy. Can't remember what his name is, but his show is called "And We Know." Have you heard him?
No,
and We Know. He was in the Marines as a reporter, and I don't know if he has further Marine business other than that. I just don't know his background real well, but he's awesome. He's a Christian guy, and he speaks on all the current stuff. Sounds like he's got some intel, and he's on Telegram and Rumble and all of those kind of BitChute and everything. But it's called. I think you'd like him. One of the things I appreciate is he prays before and he prays after, and he got great video work. He's a family guy, but he was in the Marines, so maybe that'll be interesting for you. And then another one, Bards FM. Have you heard of Bards? BARDS. I got to send them to you. Yeah, you'll like him too.
Yes.
I believe he's military as well, and of course Linwood. But who do you, if you're going to go and listen to anybody, who do you listen to? Where would you go?
When it comes to kind of what's happening right now,
CNN probably, right?
Yeah, CNN. No, I've actually there's a preacher in California. His name's Jack Hibbs.
Yes, I love him. He's one of my preachers. Yeah.
I watch his stuff a lot. He brings on a lot of Israeli.
Yes, he's great. Amir.
What's that? Amir? Yeah,
Amir.
Yeah. I love his stuff. Yep. So he brings him on a lot, and he kind of gets into the facts of what's really happening, what's happening in Israel. So
have you heard of Olive Tree Ministries with Jan Markell?
No.
So she's a Christian Jewish lady, and she's been doing prophetic prophecy. I don't know how long. She's older, but she works with Jack Hibbs and Amir, and Hope for Our Times is another pastor out in California. So she's kind of, and she has they're bringing to Calvary Church on September 11th. They have a prophetic, not a day, not a convention, but I guess a session, prophetic session on September 11th at Calvary Church. And it's out in Southern California. And I want to go so bad. And I've been trying to just keep it in my notes to see if I can manage to get there, maybe take some friends. But she's going to be there, and Amir's supposed to be there. And I think, I'm not sure if Jack Hibbs is there, but the other guy that does a lot of Hope for, that's actually his church, Calvary Church. So we'll see. We'll see where.
I talked to him about, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Oh, he's awesome, Wes.
And and I went through my times where I kind of fell away from stuff, just through things that happen and you see in life, and you kind of question things, and then I've kind of gotten back to reality. So I've been kind of.
I like that you got back to reality.
Yeah, because and there's one. Actually, I'll send it to you. This would be a great one for your viewers too. I've been reading this book. It's called The Arco Volume. So the Arco Volume. My question was, I always like to get to the foundation of things and kind of see where things started. We've written, there's stories in the Bible and there's stories about Jesus, and I know there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of this and that and stuff that was written 1,000 years after. And so I was thinking about it, and I said, I know I've spent a lot of time in Rome. I'm a big fan of the Roman Empire and a lot of stuff, the history that was happening there. And I know that they were in Jerusalem. They were there. When Jesus was there, and they had questioned who this man was. They had scribes. They had very smart people. The empire had when they were going into different countries, they're finding out who's the who's of what. Who's this guy? And why is this guy? Everybody listening to him. And they'd have to document this stuff. So this is all been documented from. What's cool about this, it was an American in the 1600s, just a long time ago. A guy showed up to his house and knocking on the door. It was a winter night, whatever. Back then, you let people just come and stay in their house. And this guy comes in, it was a German guy. They start speaking, and this German tells the American that he'd spent time in the Vatican and found these scripts of the Romans talking about Jesus during that time. They were old, from 2,000 years ago.
Cool.
So the American guy's like, I need this. How are we going to get this? So it goes into this in the book, and he finally gets even the old written checks in there that he wrote and he sent it back to Germany, and then he sent it to Rome to pay the priest to translate the Latin into English, to finally get this translated into English. And anyway, that's his book. So the Romans they respected Jesus. They said. They thought he was a studier of Socrates. They said, how does this man know so much? Right. How are you so far advanced? So they said he must have studied in Greece under Socrates and through the great philosophers. He'd never been there. He didn't even know who they were. He was on a whole other level. So, of course, the Romans, who is this guy? He's incredible. He's amazing. So it goes into that, again. So kind of getting back to Jesus, who he was, how important he is to us, and how we should remember him as the greatest. You want to talk about motivation speakers? You want to talk about inspiration?
Everything.
The number one. So
everything.
What he did and what he stood for. And he was kind of rebellious. People didn't like him because he was speaking the truth, and he upset some people. I like guys like that, and you're going to get some people that don't like that. And he spoke the truth, and he went all the way till the end, So, kind of getting back and more into that. So I tell people, get a little bit more Jesus in your life, I love
it. I love it.
Some of that going in you, man. And then you can find out what's important in life, And anyway, so that Jack Hibbs, been listening to him. There's a church in Arizona called Pantano, and they have some good speakers there. I've watched, tune into.
Oh, there's another guy you need to know about. Speaking of, I think he's in Arizona. Apologia Church.
Okay,
you will love him. He came from a pretty rough background, and he's just out there. He's preaching to he'll go out on the streets and he takes groups of people from his church, and they do all kinds of friendly, calm, loving debates with Mormons, with any kind of religion that may be out there. He stands in front of the abortion clinics and tries to lead people to Christ right there and talking about what's going on with the whole. I mean, he's apologia, APOLGIA, apologia. He's awesome. He's one of my favorites, and he's very well spoken, but very easy to listen to. Like, I think you would probably, and he's got a beard like
a lot of common sense.
He's got a beard like you too.
Nice. Oh, I'll check him out. Yes.
Yeah, apologia. I'll have to send you his link, but I think you'll really like him.
Yep, I would love to see that. I think people need to get away from
get more Jesus in your life. I love that.
Well, it's true. It's like
it's true.
People they're worshiping and the wrong things. Like they're obsessing over the wrong things. It's obsess over Jesus, obsess over God, obsess over those things that are true, meaningful things. Not saying you have to walk around, praying every 5 seconds, but get some of that in your life and put some focus there versus like worshiping this internet star that does whatever. I don't know. Like,
well, so speaking of that, do you have any scripture? Because I know for me, over this last couple of years, for sure, and before that, there's been a few scriptures that I feel like God's given me through 2020 and just recently that I go to all the time to share with people, and I think there's four different scriptures I felt God gave me over in 2020 that I've been able to share with so many people, and people always like to hear them. They're like, "Where'd you find that? I want to know that."
Great.
Can you text that to me?
Yes,
and
I think daily trying to find. I have one right here. It's Isaiah 4:8-10. I have refined you, but not as silver is refined. Rather, I have refined you in the furnace of suffering.
Absolutely. It goes back James 1. What's cool about the Bible is that you can read out of one book here, either New or Old Testament, and it'll link you to another. If you look, all of a sudden you can be linked to another verse that's in another book of the Bible, and it all has the same, ways of bringing it back and forth. Like it all means the same. It's like in 1 Thessalonians 5, it says, "Rejoice always." And when you think about, what is rejoice? What's the word rejoice mean? It means to be full of joy. Well, where do you get joy? Well, you go to Galatians 5:23, and it says that joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit. Well, how do you get it's like, what is the fruit of the Spirit? That's the Holy Spirit. It's like everything's connected. I love that. And if you
get lost, it's easy to forget those things and get lost, and then that brings it all back. That's why I say people talk about motivation books, and this kind of inspiration type. Go read the Bible.
Feel the Spirit.
Yeah, that's where you'll find all the inspiration you need. That's real. And a lot of these guys, you listen to some of these Les Brown and some of these amazing motivation speakers who are amazing. They're preaching. They're spinning off of the Bible and stuff, and they always say it. They said that's the greatest. They're just taking that and putting it into their own words.
Well, think about this. In 1 Thessalonians 5, it starts at verse 16. There's, and I'm just before I say this, it's kind of funny because you've heard those people that say they can't read the Bible because it doesn't make sense. They can't understand it.
Absolutely, yeah. I used to be one of those.
So so go to 1 Thessalonians 5:16, and the verse says, "Rejoice always," and then it says, "Pray continually," and then it says, "Do not quench the Spirit." And I'm like, I'll read that to someone that just says that to me, and I'm like, do you understand that? And people are like, I didn't know that was in the Bible. It's like, well, because you didn't give it a chance. Like, don't underestimate God, right?
Yeah, that's why I got that, because I was like, I can say there's so many different versions of the Bible, and there's this and that, and it intimidates people that say they weren't brought up in it. They didn't go to church every Sunday, and they had it kind of instilled in them throughout the years. You get in, it's a little bit, and I got that kind of get back to. I want to see where the foundation of this started. I learned about the burning bush, Moses, all these stories that I had heard some things about, but now I'm kind of really getting to study them and said, okay, these were actual factual, documented things that were happening. It's really it kind of answers a lot of questions of why things happened. The punishment towards the Egyptians for what were happening to the Jews, and the blood on the doors, and all this these sayings and all. And now I'm not connected. Okay, that's what that meant, you know. So it's really neat, you know. I don't care, even if you're not, you don't have to be religious, whatever. It's really neat, historical stuff.
It's not being religious to me. It's just being well versed in God's word. I mean, I don't.
It doesn't hurt. Like if you're just like, oh, I don't understand. I won't get into it a little bit. It's really interesting.
Right.
That's another guy I do listen to a lot is Jordan Peterson. I love Jordan Peterson. You know, he's I think one of the smartest people out there right now. And and he brings into he works around a lot of liberal philosophers and Nietzsche's and all the ones that were not, you know, God is the worst thing ever and Jesus is dead and this, that, and the other. He kind of C.G. Jung, that was another that he studied him. You know, that's who Jordan Peterson studied. But Jordan Peterson puts a lot of Jesus and the Bible into his philosophy, and it makes a lot of sense. So he's Canadian too, man. But yeah, Jordan Peterson. You know, he talks about the story of Pinocchio, and he finds these metaphors within these stories that really make a lot of sense. So yeah, I tell people, if they don't know him, read or watch Jordan Peterson. Yeah,
there's so much. You know, have you read Revelation?
No.
Some? Okay,
I'm kind of getting, but I like Genesis. I'm looking at and trying to get back to some of that.
So just keep in mind, just keep this in mind. This is in the very beginning of Revelation. Okay, because you're going to want this. It says, "Blessed is he who reads, and those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written in it, for the time is near." So they're saying right there, if you read Revelation, you will be blessed. And some of the translations say, blessed is he who reads out loud. And then if you keep reading through Revelation, there's a lot of spots where it says, if you have an ear, let you hear. You know, it says, if they have ears, let them hear. It's pretty cool. I'm going to have a dog barking potentially in a minute because someone's knocking on my door.
I can hear him. We love dogs. We love dogs. We love the reality of dogs.
I know, right? So we have about 11, 12 minutes.
Okay.
And I want to be conscious of our time and not keep you on all night because I think we could probably just keep talking and maybe we'll have to do round two and we'll have to do round two.
Yeah,
we'll do round two on yours because I think because I have so many things that I wanted to talk to you about because I love really learning the history of somebody's past, like how you grew up and where'd you grow up and what were your parents like and how did you become the man you are today. And but besides, so we don't really probably have a lot of time to go into all of that, but I do want to ask, what made you go into the Marine and to serve for the Marines with the Marines? And thank you for your service. So kind of like, and then, of course you've got this big job you did for the government and then with Dell. And then, but in the meantime, you went and you were a schoolboy.
No, I'm selling coffee and clothing. Like what happened? So,
And then, but what's so funny is like, here you are, schoolboy in Italy. I say schoolboy in quotes in Italy. And all of a sudden then you come back and you're working like this high crazy job for the government. I'm like, how do you go from these?
Yeah, it's there's a.
And I don't know if this is time to talk about all of that because I know
I can make it quick. Quick. I've heard that. So I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up as a Mormon. I grew up. My dad was injured when we were young. He was a welder and he broke his back, and we lost our car, and we struggled for a long time. I remember we had the government cheese, and I remember like having my shoes in the wintertime, have Payless shoes having holes in them, and I put the bread bags over my socks to walk to school so my feet wouldn't be wet. It was stuff like this. I remember as a kid, I was like, I don't want. My mom worked really hard, and my dad, he was suffering. And we just didn't really know what to do. And they did their best. And I didn't do well in school. I did not do well in school. I always felt that I had learning disabilities. I was told I had learning disabilities. I was put in those special classes. So I hated school. I hated it. And I was told that horrible things about myself, and I believed those things. I did, but I didn't. I knew I had more that I could do. So I did not like school. I made it to 7th grade and eventually got kicked out, and I had to finish 7th and 8th grade on my own. They basically gave me practice to do at home because I had a really hard time being in school environments. Then went to high school, started getting a little bit better. And then I found about the Marines. Like I was, I wanted to join the Marines. I saw Full Metal Jacket. I was like, that's what I want to do. That's just so cool, And it just really, and so I knew to do that, I had to graduate,
Right.
But when I was in school, I worked. I was an entrepreneur when I was a kid too. I would sell stuff. I'd go door to door. I sold magazines. This guy used to pick us up in his, my first job actually was, I think it was 11 or 12, I got out of school. I saw a thing on a post. It was a picture of Mickey Mouse. Said, "Hey, win a trip to Disneyland. Come work and sell magazine subscriptions, whatever." So I called this guy, and he picked me up in his Volts. Me and like 6 other grungy-looking kids, and he would drop us off in these neighborhoods. And we just go door to door. "Hi, I'm so and so. Would you like to buy a magazine subscription? If you got so many, you win a trip to Disneyland. You got paid. I don't even know what we got paid, but." It was kind of like, I'm earning my own money. I'm being forced to do something that it's forced me to go door to door and talk to people. I didn't want to do it, But, it really got me into that spirit of like, man, I like to make some stuff on my own and do my own thing. And so that's kind of where that started. And ended up, long story short, went to, finished high school, ended up doing pretty well. I found a teacher who believed in me, Miss Barney. I'll still never forget her. She saw something and she lit a light in me, and I'll never forget her. And I started doing really well. I just found my pattern was different than this cookie cutter way that schools teach kids. I don't learn that way. I have to do things a different way. And she found that. And then I started doing really well, and I got graduated, went to the Marines right after, joined the Marine Corps, loved it. I worked all over, went to Okinawa for my first year. Then I spent time in Rome at the embassy. I did embassy security, so that was my job.
Okay, so that's what led you back to Italy later.
Yeah, so I did that. Went to Yemen for my second post. Worked in Yemen right before the coal was bombed. Right before everything started happening with 9/11 and Bin Laden and all that stuff. So I got out and then wanted to go back to Rome and go to school. I wanted to get a business degree. And now I had the discipline. I've been through the Marines. I've been through a lot. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. So I went back to Rome, applied at the American University there, and they didn't even know they didn't know what the GI Bill was. I was the first veteran to do that school. So I had no money. I was just out of school, and they're like, "What is that?" And so I got a job. I got a job at a gym in Rome, and this kind of goes back to the gym stuff. The gym's been a savior for me too, kind of finding out about that at a younger age, and then doing it all through the Marine Corps, and then getting out. I worked at a gym there in Rome called Roman Sports Center, and that's where I learned how to speak Italian. I got all these. I worked on Passion of the Christ with Jim Caviezel.
Cool.
Yeah, I opened up a lot of cool doors, and and the guy that gave me that job, Ed Cheever, he was a big inspiration to me. He went to Rome in the 50s after World War II, opened up the largest fitness facility in Rome, then put one in Paris and London, and took his business model and kind of took the fitness industry. Back then in Europe, it didn't exist. They didn't have gyms and all that stuff in the 1950s. Very rare. It was in California. It was in parts of the U.S. So he took it to Europe and just blew it up. Just a cool old guy. And just entrepreneur and just made shit happen. And I went when I was there. He let Marines work out there free because he used to drive Marines onto the beach on Peleliu. So he had this thing and it was an expensive frou-frou gym. It was on Via Veneto. Via Veneto is that's the spot in Rome, and that's where all the rich people went, this and the other, but he let the Marines work out free. So you got all these rich, uppity Italians, and you got these knucklehead Marines in there, I had been out, and Jed still let me work out at his gym, and I needed a job. And I was like, Ed, I need a job. I'll clean the floors. I'll work in the locker room. I'll do whatever. And he's like, nope. He's like, you're going to be an instructor. And I didn't speak any Italian at the time. I didn't speak any Italian. I was like, Ed, I don't speak, because you got over there, the way gyms work, you walk around they don't have personal trainers. You walk around the gym, people come up, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I'm like, shit, I only speak Italian. I got all these people coming up to you. I'm the only American. I was 25, just out of the Marines. So everybody, of course, wants to come and ask me questions. And I'm like, Ed's like, you'll figure it out. So he gave me a shirt. It said, Instruttore, you put it on, go out there. And then I started learning. I started talking to people. I learned all the different machines. I learned how to do the exercises, and just started, but it was another learning lesson. You can go into somewhere and just go out there and figure it out, and then get thrown into the wolves. And So he taught me a good lesson there, And then I went to school. I got my business degree. I got international business, and came back to the States to start applying for jobs. I was looking at the U.S. Secret Service. I was looking at diplomatic security. I was looking at the CIA. I played with the CIA. I played with all of them. I had my degree. I had a top secret clearance. I'm like, oh, I'm a shoe in. This is right where the war was kicking off, 2004, 2003, 2004. This was right at that time. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to get into one of these. And then I find out about the private contracting stuff where they're making like 5 times the amount of money. They needed guys to deploy right away to Baghdad. And it was kind of cowboyish. It was like, okay, you go to the school, you shoot, to make sure you shoot, and then you got to learn how to do all the formation protection stuff, clearing rooms, just a bunch of stuff, driving. You do a lot of driving maneuvers. And then after you're done, they said, they're like, you 15 are going to Baghdad, you guys are going to Kabul, you guys are going to Haiti. And they put me on the Baghdad trip. They're like, you guys are going to drive into Amman, Jordan. You're going to meet these guys at the border and then drive into Baghdad and set up the embassy security detail. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. That sounds freaking pretty fucking shady. Sorry. But I turned it down. I was like, no, that's too. And suddenly they called me 2 days later and said, hey, we go to Afghanistan. I said, yeah, sure, I'll go there. So I ended up going to Kabul. And we worked on the president's detail, Karzai, and then we worked the U.S. ambassador, Khalilzad, setting up our U.S. ambassador for the U.S. So we protected anybody from Cheney to Bush, any Codell, any diplomat. We had Hillary Clinton. We had all those people, Rumsfeld. So they would come and diplomacy meet with the ambassador and the ministries. Would be the guys that would take them. Rush Limbaugh. We took Rush Limbaugh, Fox News.
He's the only one I think would have been fun to be around.
Yeah, super cool. Like I remember we left to go to one of the ministries and we had him. My detail, Broadsword 2 had him. And he actually mentioned us on his radio show when he got home, which was pretty cool. But he forgot his cigars, and he's like, man, I don't want to be that guy, but I left my cigars back in the embassy. We're like halfway to, we're like, nope, no problem, sir. Hey, for you. We turned around, went back on his cigars. And he was just so cool. Cheney, too. I have cufflinks from Dick Cheney. I got hit vice president's cufflinks from him. Another cool guy. So it's just really neat kind of meeting all these folks and seeing true diplomacy take place, good and bad, and kind of the reconstruction of what was happening there. We were opening up courthouses. We were setting up water well systems for kids. We take U.S. geologists out to study the ground to see if they could fertilize it and stuff like that. So we were all over the place doing all kinds of different stuff. So it was a really neat job. And then I had my son, my first son. I came back to the States, saw him born, and then I had to go back. So then I went to Iraq after that, did the same thing. And at that point, I was kind of like, all right, it's time to get back to the States. Like, I've been pretty lucky, and I now have a kid, and I came back to the States, lived in D.C., and I was getting ready to take a job with the Department of Energy. So, Department of Energy out in New Mexico moves all the nuclear warheads. They move them all around the states. You guys don't know it, but there's big black trucks that go through New Mexico and Amarillo and parts of Texas. They're moving things. And these trucks are basically just full of high-tech guns and gear. And they're just, that was the job I was going to do. It was a Q clearance, which is the highest clearance you can get in the government. And I waited 3 years, got that clearance, getting ready to go to the academy. And then they get around and call out of blue for Dell. They're looking for a guy for the Dell detail in Austin, which those details you don't get on. They're really tough to get on. And I was like, well, I'll apply for it, even though I had this job in the boots. We're getting ready to find a house out there, and then we flew out to Austin, and we're like, Austin, Albuquerque, and ended up taking the Austin job and worked for Dell for 8 years. I worked for Michael and his wife, and it's his children. I took his children to study abroad programs in South Africa. I worked with one of his other daughters in Italy for 6 months. Just really close with the fact, I taught them how to drive. I go to all the horse shows, so I was like, their kids more than mine for a while, and that was just another thing. I'm like, man, I'm getting burned out. I'm traveling all the time. And I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing, start my own business. So back when we were overseas, I used to be the guy who would make the shirts, the team shirts, morale stuff, Crusader stuff, just like, stuff that was cool. And I just make it for morale for the guys for our teams. We had a team called like Broadsword 1 or Paladin, and we'd make these just cool hats and shirts for our teams. So when I was back in the States doing the Dell stuff, dudes would hit me up like, hey, man, do you have any more of those? I'm like, no, And they're like, man, so it got me thinking. I was like, well, I should kind of maybe do a couple of those here, similar items, and then I did, and it started taking off. 1 design, 2 designs, 3 designs, 10 designs, 1 order. It just started going, just started coming in. I was like, wow. And I was still working, and so I was traveling a lot. And so I got to the point where I'm like, either I keep doing my job, which was not, it was a 6-figure job. It had full benefits. For that line of work, it's a good job. It's a real good job. So I was like, okay, if I walk from this, I'm done. You're not going back. My road was taken off. So at a certain point, I just had to cut the cord and said, you know what, I'm going to go take a chance. And I cut the cord. Within a month, I knew that I did the right decision. I went from my spare bedroom to my garage to my first building, second building, third building, my 4th building. And I've been here since, just growing out the business and expanding into other things. So there's been a lot of work involved and stuff like that, but it's at the end of the day, it's just me. And it's all, my business is built around all the stuff I love, weightlifting, rock and roll music, dogs, guns, cool cars. You've been out here. It's just cool. I have a tattoo shop down there. I got it's all the cool stuff that I like, and a lot of other people think it's kind of cool. And then with that, we've gotten to work with a lot of foundations. My business has been able to do some amazing things for some people, and I love that. It's because of our supporters, because I think that's a big responsibility of what you should be able to do as a business owner too. If you can also be involved with your community somewhere, give back somewhere somehow. You use your machine for some goodness. So that's the most fulfilling part to me, being involved with some of the foundations we've worked with. And we built a schoolhouse for a family. And when Aaron Twain was killed, he wanted his wife to be able to teach his children at home. And we built a schoolhouse there for them, and like, another guy in San Antonio, we built a home for him, Eden Pearl. He was the worst case scenario in the VA, should have been alive type of scenario. So he had to spend his life in the burn center. And for his family to visit him, they wanted to be close. So to accommodate him when he could go home, they built him a really nice house. Clint Eastwood got involved, Gary Sinise, just cool stuff, and was able to get a place to rest before he passed away. So stuff like that, it's really, that's what it's all about, at the end of the day. And that's what makes me feel good. And feel, money's great and success and all that stuff, but what does that truly mean at the end? Like, what is that? So to me, those are the things that make it all worthwhile and motivate you the most, cool, it's just, and then it opens up all these other doors. I'm doing work with the British Royal Marines right now. We're doing work with Tom Hardy, Venom. I just talked to him 2 days ago. Like he's opens up with all these cool doors of people doing cool things, and then all the cool things happen. And I would have never guessed anything like that when I first started. I was like, oh, wow, I sure sold a T-shirt. Wow. I went to the Arnold the first time. I had like a Coleman tent with it looked like a gypsy tent, like.
Yep. Hey, that's where I got this shirt. Do you remember this shirt?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, that's right. Yes, Lionheart. That's badass. Yeah, with the grenade on the front. Oh, you still have that? That's one of the OGs right there. That's original.
I still have it.
So
I
cool.
still have it. So, all right. So
I just ended up now I'm just doing this, and so it's been a hodgepodge of things. But at the end of the day,
just doing this, you're doing a lot, and it's awesome. Okay, so what we're gonna do, because I've got dinner plans here, and everyone's here, but let's go through rapid fire questions. Can't go into stories. Just answer the question.
I'm hungry too. I need to eat.
Okay. Name a movie you like that has more than one sequel.
That has more than one? Rambo.
All right. If you could have a conversation at dinner with a legendary military leader or president, who would it be?
I would go with I think Ronald Reagan would be really cool.
There you go. Okay. If you must go into battle with only one firearm or weapon, what would you choose? Only one.
One firearm or weapon. I would go with I would say a belt-fed M240 belt-fed.
Perfect.
Carry it. It's not too heavy. Yeah.
Okay. Name something you are doing or somewhere you're going this year that you're excited about.
I'm going to say Rome because that's what I want to do. That's what I plan on doing. Back to Rome.
Putting it out there. If you had to choose another occupation for at least a week, what would you be interested in doing? What would you be interested to you? What would be interesting to you? Sorry.
Fitness
model?
No, I would say teach. Maybe teach or You maybe get into some ministry preaching or something. Getting into something where you can utilize some of the stuff that you've learned through life. And I'm 46 right now. I've been blessed. I've seen a lot, and I would like to be able to
give back.
Maybe help somebody else.
Okay.
Something. Yeah.
3 books you would take with you on a deserted island.
Okay. I would take Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove's.
Yep, I got it.
One that just to kind of. I would take the ones I have here. I have let's see, this is a good one. It's called How to Stop Worrying by Dale Carnegie. That, and then I would take the Arco volume too. All right, learn some more about Jesus. So I take those, kind of a fun, adventurous book about cowboys and cool stuff, and then one about how to bed your situation in your mind, and then one about Jesus. So yeah, got the best of all.
Great. Yep. And you know what? For my movie with the sequel is Lonesome Dove.
Oh, look at that. Boom. Good taste. I know. Isn't that such a great story? Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Favorite overall body exercise?
I love doing back. I love back workouts.
All right. Favorite thing about being a daddy? Quick. You can't go into detail.
Okay. The hugs and smiles.
Okay. That's awesome. Favorite holiday and favorite holiday tradition that you'll pass on to Nancy? Or your children?
I love Halloween. I've always loved Halloween. I love the spirit of it. I love the creepiness of it. And now they do too, because they knew they grew up playing with, or doing the graveyards and all. Yeah, Halloween.
All right, last one. Favorite 70s or 80s song that you always find yourself singing along with?
I just want to celebrate another day of living.
Perfect. Oh, that's awesome, Wes. Okay, real quick, can you just list your social media handles for everybody listening?
Yep, it's just Wes_Whitlock or Wes Whitlock. Yeah, at any of the places. So Wes_Whitlock, you can find me.
Wherever Rogue American.
Say hi, Rogue American, Invader Coffee, Disciples of Iron. Find them. There you go. Look at that high speed. You have little thing popping. Look at that. Wow.
Claudia's on it. She's good. She's good.
Dude, that's good. I need to get one. I can meet me a Claudia. If there's a Claudia out there, let me know. I'll pay you really well.
Maybe Claudia here.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I like that. Look at that, and my anchor. Yeah, my podcast. So I have a podcast too.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you, Monica. You're a saint. You're a beam of light. I've been blessed to meet you, and it's funny. I've always like, oh, she's so cool, and that actually really is cool. Yeah, so you're the best. Keep doing what you're doing. Hope
Thank you.
Hit that stone next time.
I know. We need to make another date, so I come up and do that and get back on your podcast with you. I think there's a lot we can keep talking about that would be interesting for people.
Yep.
Wes, God bless you. Get some more Jesus in your life tonight, and thanks for being on the Monica Brant Show. We'll talk very soon, Wes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Wes. All right, you guys, that was it for the night. So enjoy always getting to have these conversations with these amazing people. You guys make sure you go tune into Wes and all of his social media handles and his podcast. I just want to say a big, giant thank you to my sponsors, Legendary Foods. I just adore their tasty pastries and their yummy nut butters. So be sure to go check them out. If you use Monica10, you'll get yourself a little discount. Thank you to AlloLife International. They keep my digestive tract and my skin very, very nice and clean and healthy. And also Egg White International, filling my protein needs for me for many years. I always say 15, but it might be more than that by now. And also Bodyscape Magazine, who we just had an awesome trip to Florida. We got to go to Miami and had a fabulous, big, epic destination shoot there in Miami. So you guys will be hearing about that really soon on an upcoming show. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in if you were here live or tuning in later. So we'll be back next week. So same time, same place. Oh, and lastly, I don't know if anyone noticed, but I got some Invisaligns today. So my teeth are kind of hurting a little bit, my mouth, and I'm having to talk a little bit different. Well, at least it feels like I am. So anyways, thank you to Stone Oak Orthodontics here in San Antonio. And today was my first day to have these on. So we'll see. It's supposed to be about a 2-year project, but who knows? Maybe my teeth will move a little bit faster. So anyways, you guys have a beautiful, blessed evening. As always, stay fit, love life. And Claudia, thank you so much for all you do to help run the show perfectly. See you guys.
Life is beautiful. 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 Life is beautiful.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching the Tasty Pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.